Hello everyone, Zelx here, and after not looking at the Shadowverse card reviews for a while, we have a lot of cards to go through. Let's get started, and let's immediately hop into our first legendary, Aether Guardian of Light, Havencraft legendary that costs 4 mana and has Ward Fanfare. Randomly put one of the highest cost Havencraft followers, excluding Aether, that costs less than your total number of play points ops from your deck into play. If allied followers have evolved at least 5 times this match, activate its fanfare effects. So, obviously, first of two parts of to this card is it requires you to play Evolve Haven, which I've never actually heard of that subtype for archetype for Haven before. It's usually either Heal, there's the Banish, which never work, and Ward Haven. So it's interesting to see that Haven is actually getting a evolve payoff, and it's pretty obvious that the card that you want to summon with this is either Unariel or I think Skullfang is a pretty good card to summon off this as well. You randomly one of the highest cost Havencraft followers that cost 5, that total number of play point ops. So if you have 7 play point ops, you summon someone that has 7 play points. If you summon Unariel actually, you basically cheated Unariel out for free, and you even get 1 mana extra. And all you need to do is evolve 5 followers. By default, you will have 2 evolves ready. You will need to take a look, find another way to get the remaining 3 evolve points, be it through either Blossoming Dancer from this expansion currently from Academy of Ages, or maybe with help from Olivia and Sylvia. Since this is a pretty good body, okay, the stats are a little bit low for a 4 drop, but it does have ward and a pretty good fanfare, not gonna lie. It's just actually, even at 4 play points, if you play this, it doesn't really matter that if you don't actually pull Unariel with Aether, you still are putting one of your important cards out. Actually, if you play this on 4, it actually pulls Illuvia or Bellerophon if you're playing well. It pulls it directly from your deck. If I'm reading this correctly. Cost less than your total play points. Wait, no, maybe it's not equals to. So maybe if you want to pull Illuvia or Bellerophon, you have to play this on 5. But I'm not quite sure if this can put Illuvia on 4. I'll immediately give this a 5 star. This is super turbo broken. But if it requires to have 5 play point odds before you can pull Illuvia, maybe I'll knock it down to like 4 or 5. It's still a really solid card, and man, this looks like a very fun card to play, especially with Unariel. I can see some OTK potential, I can see combo potential. Probably can pull off a beam that no one have ever tried pulling off before. Well, I think it's a very fun card to play around with. Definitely. Oh, definitely. And next, Gale Scythe, a Havencraft Gold Amulet. During your turn, whenever allied followers evolve, subtract 1 from the cost. Okay, it's another Evolve Haven. Support card. Fanfare, if there's other Gale Scythes in play, destroy an enemy followers and discard amulet. And when this amulet is in play, your leader has the following effect where every follower spells and effects that you do have deals +1 damage. I feel like the Gale Scythe is a little bit slow. I don't think you'll be running more than 1 copy of this. And even if you're running more than 1 copy of this, it's also a little bit hard to trigger the Gale Scythe unless you have a lot more evolve support. And currently the only all 3 evolves for that Haven has access to is like Blossoming Dancer as well as the Academic Goblin. So I don't feel like this is really good. The extra spell damage effect damage is pretty scary, especially for unlimited, where Bellerophon rings supreme. Now imagine, instead of doing 1 damage every ping, they do 2 damage every heal they had to do. Oh my goodness, that would be disgusting. But luckily, Gale Scythe is 6 mana, is kinda slow, and you will never be playing more than 2 copies of this. I don't really quite see it for this card, but there is some potential for it. Imagine if there's a way to get like what? No, you can only have one copy of this at any given point in time. Right, yeah, okay, this is actually you can I was thinking if you could like stack like 3 copies of this and then go for OTK with like a totally unexpected card. But no, not it's pretty hard to stack this. So I'll give this a 1/5. It's really niche. And maybe not even won't even see probably won't see much play even in Unereal Haven since this one requires followers to be evolved. Next up, we have Holy Kitty. If that's fan fact, if there's any allied follow amulets in play, evolve this follower. We got our evolve card for Havencraft. This is since with all the support that Havencraft is getting this expansion, I'm gonna straight up give this a 5/5. It's basically a free evolve. It's a 1 mana 2/2 basically. Havencraft has more than enough amulets to get a play have them on play at any given point in time, and just having a free evolve to start charging your Gale side if you want to do that, or even just like work towards Ether Guardian of Light's final effect that activates the Fair is pretty amazing. And it is basically also innately have Rush as well, which 1 mana 2/2 Rush, pretty decent. This is 5/5. I actually, is it? Will you run this in Crystallize? I think maybe worth running in Crystallize. It's not a terrible card. Maybe so I'll give this a 4/5, maybe not exactly 5 since it's not technically a must run in all cards, in all decks, but 4/5 is a pretty good, solid place to leave our good old Holy Kitten. And lastly, a bronze amulet for Havencraft, 1 mana countdown for Fanfare, subtract X from these amulets countdown as equals the number of times allied followers have evolved. Restore 2 to your leader, draw 2 cards. This effect is actually turbo broken for 1 cost. Okay, if we ignore the countdown 4, I don't think countdown 4 is usually a bad thing for Haven, like especially since it's so cheap, and the countdown actually gets lower the more allied followers evolve. So if you play this on 1, perfect. On turn 4 you get heal, you get draw. The fact that it doesn't trigger immediately means that your opponent have time to hit your face, so the heal actually does something. And usually on turn 4, if you don't have enough card draw already, you will be running short on cards, and the card draw will come in at the perfect time. In fact, this is actually so good. I think this is actually one of the first must run Havencraft cards. Don't make me look like a fool. 5/5. Font of Tranquility. Amazing card. I don't see how you why you wouldn't want to run this. Okay, and next we have Portocraft Lazuli Gateway Liberator. It's a 3 mana 3/3 go for Portocraft. It shuffles 2 Radiant artifacts into your deck and changes their cost to 1. Radiant artifacts is a 4/3 Storm follower with last words. If it's your turn, you put a random artifact from your deck into your hand, and if it's your opponent's turn, you draw a card. And you put a random 1 play point spell from your deck into your hand. If at least 6 different allied artifact cards has been destroyed this match, you recover 1 evolution point. So I'm not too familiar with the artifacts archetype for Portal, but I know that having 1 mana 4/3 storms is turbo broken if you can draw them. The 1 play point spell, I'm gonna guess what they want to put is actually Synchronization, which actually puts more analyzing artifacts into your hand. Either that, or maybe it could be something else. Because I don't really play artifact, right? I can't give this an accurate rating, but if artifact is good, maybe this is a pretty good 3/5. But what I'm pretty happy about is that this tutors a random 1 play point spell. And in Unlimited, there's this spell that I really like to play with, and it's called Calamity's Genesis. It's a 1 mana spell that actually shuffles 5/5 followers into your deck. They are pretty strong, and it has a quest that leads to a game winning effect. Up till now, there has been no way to accurately tutor Calamity's Genesis, and now Lazuli Gateway Liberator has just provided a way to tutor Calamity's Genesis. Is it going to make Calamity Genesis good in Unlimited? No, but is it going to make it more fun? Yes, and just for that alone, I'll give it an honorable 5 upon 5 because it's supporting one of my favorite cards. Next, we have a 0 mana ghost spell for Portal. Sisterly Bonds, you either put Spinaria's artifact or Spinaria and Lucille Keepers into your hand. Spinaria's artifact is a 1 mana 1/1 that last words if it's your turn. Put a random artifact card from your deck into your hand, and if it's your opponent's turn, you draw a card. Oh, no wonder they keep getting their dog. Okay, this I never noticed, never actually read this card's last word, and apparently it's even better than I thought. Spinaria's artifact, it's not even just a draw a card, it's a put a random artifact card. It tutors an artifact specifically, especially with dog, robotic dog. Is it? I think it's called robotic dog. This is actually pretty solid. Just getting a Spinaria's artifact is actually very strong. Especially for a 0 mana spell, pretty decent. Let's look at Spinaria and Lucille, Keepers. When this follower comes into play, if at least 6 different allied artifacts cards has been destroyed this match, evolve this follower, and it does 6 damage to all enemy followers and removes and loses this effect. For 3 mana, is a free evolve. If once 6 at different allied artifact cards have been destroyed, artifact cards are actually pretty easily destroyed. So, but I think usually this will be completed around turn 5 to turn 6. This is also an artifact follower, which is pretty decent. It helps contribute to Retrafia's quest. Overall, it's actually pretty decent. This actually, since this is a 0 mana spell, right, that actually gives you 2 options. One that gives you cycle, and the other that gives you protection and board clear. I actually think this is really solid. Will you run this in Enhanced Portal or any other decks? You need to find a way to get more artifact cards if that's what you want to do. Right now with the rotation of Merciless Voidling, I think most classes have access to like analyzing Ancient Mystic, Storm Sky Strike, Air Strike, and then there's a barrier artifact. And then with Spinaria, okay, I think this is actually runnable. It's actually pretty good enough to be run in most Portal decks. I'll give it a 4.5 upon 5. It seems really solid. It helps clear the board if you can get this active. And I think most Portal decks can actually get it active if you're running at least some sort of Portal hybrid. No, artifact hybrid. Most cards are good. There are pretty decent good cards in there are artifacts in Portal after all. Really solid card. 4.5 upon 5. Is there any more? This one, we've seen this already. And that's actually it for Portal. Let's take a look at some of the other cards. Let's look at the Blood Legendary, Fenrir Endbringer. Fenrir Endbringer is a Bloodcraft Legendary that has Rush. Follower Strike, destroy the enemy follower. Evolve this follower. It can be evolved by evolution points if Vengeance is not active for you. And if Vengeance is active, well, you can evolve it. And you can attack 2 times per turn at base. And once evolved, it gains Storm and Follower Strike, destroy the enemy follower. This is actually... Okay, this might be just me. Even though it might be a 5 cost, I think this card is turbo broken. It's like... okay, if Vengeance is active for you, for example, if you somehow Vengeance is still alive, this is 10 damage Storm. Face. No exceptions. This is like... It's like... I forgot. I should know that follower's name. It's the 4 mana 4/4 for that Vengeance legendary. I can't believe I forgot the name. That does 6 damage to all enemies once Vengeance is active for you. It's basically that, but on crack, because this is 10 damage Storm. And okay, and even assuming you couldn't go face immediately, they have Ward in the way. You play Fenrir, you follower strike, attack that follower, you destroy the enemy follower immediately. Actually, follower strike happens. I think it actually happens after you hit. Okay, maybe Fenrir will actually take damage. I was thinking that this will actually hit before Fenrir will actually hit the enemy follower. Actually, will you? I think there's this sword legendary that also says follower strike, destroy the enemy follower. But does it actually take damage? Okay, I'll give my judgment based on the fact that it actually doesn't take damage from the follower strike. So you attack a random enemy follower, it destroys it for free, and then it evolves and you can go face for 5. Or you can choose to trade attack another enemy follower and get basically 3 for 1. This is so strong for legendary. You will even get a free evolve from this as well, which is what Evolve Bloodcraft really needs. They need more auto evolves, and Fenrir provides it as well. It's actually, I think this is, you won't be running most of the other classes, but it'll be a pretty good pick, maybe even as an end game finisher. I'll give it a 3.5 upon 5. Okay, it's a 4 in Evolve Blood. In other decks, it might be a bit of a 3, questionable, but pretty strong pick, so I'll give it a 3.5 upon 5 for the final rating. And we have Ziv's card, Abby Raging Axe. I was streaming when Chad actually told me that this card got reviewed on Ziv's channel. And when I first look at it, I thought it's a little bit heavy for Magachio Forest. You know what it does? On play, it deals 3 to an enemy follower and adds 3 to the number of cards played this turn. This doesn't invoke rain from your deck, but it does draw your Whirling Storm or whatever that 1 mana gold forest spell is called. And on evolve, it deals 3 to another enemy follower and restore 3 to your leader. Its heal is 1 follower for 3 of your opponent's followers. He immediately fulfills one of Magachio's quests to play 4 cards per turn. At the beginning, as I mentioned, I thought this was actually going to be very heavy, but after actually trying out Magachio and failing pretty miserably, I realized that sometimes I just don't have the resources in hand to play 4 cards a turn. But Abby is 4 cards in 1. Originally, I thought it's going to be a 3 upon 5, but now I think it's actually a 4 upon 5. It's really strong. You won't run this in Fairy because Fairy doesn't really care about playing cards a turn. They really care about getting more followers on board. And I suspect that this fanfare actually contribute to ticket or not, hence fanfare, which doesn't matter at all really. But hey, it is a thing. This is a really solid card. Ziv actually got a pretty amazing card this time. Wow. Impressions? I'll give it a 3 upon 5. For Magachio, if it's good in... Will it be good in Evolve Forest? Maybe it's really solid card. Maybe 3.5. No, actually it's a 4 upon 5. Because it's not a bad run in Fairy Forest either, but it's just not an optimal choice. So since it has that flexibility, I'll give it a 4 upon 5. And now there are some other cards that have been reviewed as of when I was editing these videos, so I'll quickly just edit them in and let's talk about them real quick. First up is Monika, Admiral of Time and Space. It's a 2-play.1/1 legendary Swordcraft commander follower. Commander Sword got another commander card they can use. This is basically a replacement for Taketsumi. On play, it summons a knight, so it's a rally. Rally immediately, that really makes it pretty good. 2 mana summons a 1/1 follower is already very strong. It's really useful for rally. That immediately puts it at 4 upon 5, and it only gets better from here. And it has last word. Rally 10 gives your follower the following effect: at the start of your turn, summon a Monika and evolves it and revolve the last words effect, which is perfectly fine. And on evolve, when it attacks strikes, all Swordcraft followers get +1/+1. I think this cements it at a 5 upon 5. I think you want to run this in every Swordcraft deck. I don't think there's a reason for you not to. It's a commander, it's a rally, it's a free evolve. You run it in evolve sword, you run it in rally sword, you run it in commander sword. It's so good. And then on evolve, it even buffs your entire board. It's a board buff. Your opponent cannot not react to this. Or it's a must kill as well. This is Monika. This is actually insanely good. I cannot stress this enough. 5 upon 5. Swordcraft got a pretty decent legendary. And next is our last card for today. 5-play point gold Swordcraft spell, Twilight and Silver. Twilight and Silver summons an Amelia the Silver Flash and puts 2 random officer followers from your deck into your hand. At rally 10, it summons a Licia Sky Saber. But first, let's take a look at what these cards are. Amelia the Silver Flash is a 5 mana 4/4. Let's ignore the cost because, well, you're playing the spell for 5 mana that randomly put two or different officer flows from deck into hand. Okay, fine. That's the standard one. The spell does that as well. You're basically getting Amelia the Silver Flash back in standard. It's actually a legendary follower. So that's pretty good. You're not getting an enhanced 7, so let's ignore that. But at evolve until the end of turn, you subtract 3 from the cost of an officer in your hand. Basically means you can actually potentially cheat out an officer from your hand to ready even more. You draw 2 officers, you get a 4/4, you evolve, it becomes a 6/6, and you even get another follower out onto the field. But before let's judge the true power of the card, let's take a look at Lisha Sky Saber. It is a 4 mana 3/3, kind of disappointing, but on your turn, when an allied officer follow comes into play, it actually evolves Lisha Sky Saber for free. Oh my god. And on strike, if there's no allied nano the Dawn Blades in play, you summon one Dawn Blade. And if it's your 10th turn or later, you put a Twilight Blade into your hand. Usually ready 10 is let's take a look at Nano the Dawn Blade first. Nano the Dawn Blade isn't as impressive, it's a 1 mana 1/1, but it has Bane, so your opponents either deal with it with spells, or they're gonna have to trade a follower into it, in which case they'll be really, really sad. Overall, holy shit, this card is actually super stacked. As I have mentioned, normally the 5 mana base spell, it already pays for Amelia Silver Flash, and you with the evolve point you actually get the Amelia Silver Flash effect. But ready 10, as I say, is completed around turn 5. If you turn 5 you ready 10 finish, boom, in comes Lisha Skyblade as well, and she gets evolved from the officer you played from Amelia Silver Flash. So effectively, you got cheated. You got, assuming the officer is like is a 2 mana 2/2. You effectively cheated out. No wait, not really cheated out. You got like 13, 14, 14 worth of stats for 5 play points. And if it's your turn, a 10th turn or later, you even get a Twilight Blade, which, in case you don't know what that is, it actually does 5 damage to all enemies, including your opponent's face. And I think this card is actually turbo strong. You want to run it in evolve because there's a free evolve included. You want to run it ready. Commander, since Lisha and actually Amelia is actually commander, you might want to run them in commander, but there won't be any officers for you to not many officers for you to draw, so maybe, but that's not a big issue. Overall, this is really a really good card. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5 upon 5 as well. Really solid, really amazing. And that concludes our card review. Just looking at the card, I'm really astounded by the quality. Most of them really focuses on more board gameplay, even though there are some combo cards out there. I'm actually getting really, really excited for the new expansion now. Let me know your thoughts about all the cards in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Remember to like and subscribe.